You know what all the cool kids are doing these days? Listening to podcasts. And what does Toxic Radio have? Podcasts, duh.
Just as I thought.
Go to toxicradio.net and check out our weekly schedule for the lineup of great shows. Miss any of them live? No worries.
Thank God, dude.
We're on all the top podcast platforms, or just find them at toxicradio.net or on the free app. The choice is yours. Be cool or not.
We're gonna be cool.
Toxic Radio. Get the podcasts? Get infected. Got an idea for a podcast and think you have the talent to make it a reality? Already have a podcast, but been thinking you could take it up a notch, but you're just not sure how to do it? Well, Toxic Entertainment has everything you need to go from podcasting to podcasting. Bring us your talent, your passion, and your best ideas. We'll bring to the table our state-of-the-art technology and comfortable facility, creative and professional staff dedicated to bringing your ideas to life, competitively priced packages to suit your goals and budget, and over 10 years of experience as a leader in the podcasting field. Toxic Entertainment offers quality and affordability that can't be beat. When you're ready to start your journey, Toxic Entertainment is here to help you reach your destination. Learn more at toxicentertainment.net or call 888-66-TOXIC to arrange a studio tour. That's 888-66-86942. Toxic Entertainment, where creativity meets passion. All sports talk shows are the same, right?
I am bothered by everything.
You gotta go back to football school.
The goal of this guy, it's just immeasurable.
Wrong. In a world filled with talking heads more interested in their own celebrity than actually knowing the sports world, it's hard to find the people who really care about sports first. Look no further. Wire to Wire has it all covered. These guys have the knowledge and the cred to back up their opinions. No hot takes to get attention, just straight up opinions. Know anyone else who correctly called the 2020 World Series and March Madness? How about 70% on the NFL and NCAA football last year? You don't. Bottom line, these guys know their shit. They aren't doing it for attention, they're doing it for passion. Wire to Wire, live every Wednesday, 8:30 Eastern, only on Toxic Radio and wherever you find podcasts.
What's poppin'? How y'all feeling?
Good.
Feel good.
So
I
good.
need to talk. Listen, I love Mike and Jamie, but that commercial, we got to pull it. We got to pull the commercial. They're not professional whatsoever. If you know the people in here, they're not professional, okay? But they're great, so they're good at their job. But I'm your host, Gene Walzak. I'm ugly. I haven't had a haircut in a while. Need to shave. Gene Walzak. To my right, I got the man, the myth, the legend, Uncle Shally.
It's very open here.
Yeah, we're going to be very open tonight. Coming through us remote, we have Kent State's own, Cleveland's own, Columbus's own, College Cottrell. How you doing out there in that toilet bowl of Cleveland?
Jesus.
No such thing. Cleveland's in great shape.
I just, we're going to argue tonight of what's a better city for sports, Cleveland or Philadelphia.
This isn't an argument.
It's not, but Cottrell wants to make it.
The more we looked into it today, it's pretty.
It's actually hilarious.
It's pretty one-sided.
We have the NBA Finals to recap. We're going to also talk about next year, kind of like an early thought process. The NBA Draft is tomorrow night. We're going to talk about that. I want to talk about who my first three picks would be versus the consensus. Guys, got news for you. I think the first two picks in the draft tomorrow night will be busts. I don't say that very often, but I do. We're also going to talk about the NHL Stanley Cup Finals. It's 2-1 right now. Tampa Bay fought back after a 7-0 loss at Colorado and responded with a 6-2 win. Tonight's a big game. Colorado wins, you can mark that series up. But if Tampa wins, you might be looking at a Game 7. So it'll be a
Somebody called all three of the first three games, right?
Vasilevsky Game 7. I don't want any parts of that.
You did. I mean, I still had a 2-1, but I just had them opposite 2 and 3. But with that being said, we also have some MLB. I got some trivia questions for the guys on the show. Some things I think are really comical, things I didn't even know. Shally's got some hot stove for us. I'm throwing him on the spot. He's going to make him up. And if he doesn't, oh well. But
That's what's gonna happen.
let's get started talking NBA though. Game 6 happened. Game 6 was a blowout. Control, you called it right. Let's start with you. You said Warriors in 6. You get to start it.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that that series really should have gone a different way. I think that, what the Warriors did was honestly, it was incredible seeing, granted how they were last season and, overcoming all those injuries and all that. But I think a lot of what Boston's struggles was that they didn't have that closer, they didn't have that guy that they could lean on. And Jaylen Brown could really only do so much. Jason Tatum had been that guy for them all season. And now it's his first finals appearance. And Jason Tatum's under 25 years old. So I don't want to absolutely write him off yet. I don't want to crucify him for his performance, but he just didn't have that in him. And I think that series kind of just showed that Warriors team, they had more of that, championship pedigree. They had more experience, and I think it really showed there. They weren't afraid to go into that hostile Boston environment and go gut out a Game 6 win. They went into Boston knowing what was on the line, and they took care of business. So I want to give them all the credit in the world. It's nice to see Steph Curry finally gets his Finals MVP, and it was well deserved. But they had a slew of role players step up. Andrew Wiggins really rode to redemption for him. He really stepped up in that final series, and Draymond Green had the best game of his finals this year. So in Game 6. So,
if you called Andrew Wiggins a role player again, I swear to God, I'm throwing you off the show. Like, he's not a role player. He makes $30 million a year. It's not a role player.
He hasn't played.
I mean, no, but if on that normal Warriors team, you would say that he's the third option on that team.
Offensively, yes, the third option. That wouldn't be a role player, though.
He's not a role player. He's just not the face of the franchise like
What
Steph
would you call
is.
Toby?
Toby's a part of our offense. He's not a role player. You call Toby a role player?
I think he wanted you to call Toby a role player.
He's not.
I'm not saying he's
He said we have role players stepping up like Andrew Wiggins. It's like legitimately what he said.
You got stars, and then you got role players, and then you got your bench.
I get it. I'd say a role player would be like a Matisse Thybulle. He's a role player. A role player on a role player on the Warriors would be Kevon Looney.
Before this series, I would have argued that Andrew Wiggins was the fourth most important person on that Warriors team.
He still is.
That's a role player to me.
It's not a role player. When you're a championship team and you have 4 really good players, and like he's the third best offensive option. I mean, in that series, he was actually the last 2 series he was second.
2.
Yeah. 100 over Clay the last 2 series, 100%. But he makes $30 million a year. He's a max player, not a max, but close. But
I get the money, but I'm just saying the normal. He's not. Would you call him a star?
Yes.
Yeah, he's
not
star.
a superstar.
He's not a superstar. He's not elite. I mean,
this is what we get into. And by the way, I want an apology sent to Bill Shallcross at gmail.com. Send him apologies for the Jason Tatum because after that series, here's my question, right? Because we did the Jason Tatum thing, and there's a couple that got lost in the fire. But the one I want to bring up, and I want to ask you guys your opinion, if you traded Jason Tatum for Jimmy Butler and played that whole series, do you think it's still Warriors in 6? Because I don't. Because the Boston Celtics were missing a closer. They were missing a closer. Jason Tatum set a record this playoffs with 100 turnovers. It's never been done before. Never.
I mean, I picked Jimmy Butler, but
No, that's my point.
yeah.
Well, how different is the series if it's Butler instead of Tatum?
That's tough, man. I mean, you're literally breaking down you're going possession by possession at that point, at the end of the game. I mean, listen, we've also.
Do the Celtics have a better chance of winning the series with Jimmy Butler versus Jason Tatum?
I'll give you that.
Okay, that's what I'm asking. What'd you say, Joe?
The way Tatum played, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we see it all the time in all professional sports. Experience matters, especially when you get to the end. Like the brightest lights shine, man. And I don't think that's going to be the case for his entire career, but I think it was the case in the finals. I think he lost a little confidence, he lost a little of his swagger, and he struggled. He struggled down the end, and towards the end of every game, when the ball was in his hands in a big spot, he struggled. I don't want to say he looked scared, but he definitely wasn't confident. I mean, it's
I'll say it. He looked scared.
He still took
Control. Say it. Control. Do you look scared?
He still took shots. I mean, he missed some. He made some, but he just turned the ball over a lot. He didn't really look to me engaged like he wanted to be the guy. And I think that was the difference between him and Jalen. And in those last two games, Jalen wanted the ball, was still attacking, was still driving. At the end of the day, I think it just comes down to execution. And Golden State is debatably the best team in the league at execution when they're running on all cylinders, and they just have too many weapons. To your point, even though he outperformed Clay, he still is probably the third. Wiggins is probably still the third option on that team. Then you're still factoring in Draymond, Jordan Poole, all those guys. They just come at you with waves, man. It's just a lot. It's tough. It's tough to endure night after night, game after game.
There's two stats I want to bring up that are absolutely absurd stats.
They're one of those teams you just constantly have to. I mean, you don't have to be perfect, but you have to damn near be perfect to beat them all the time.
Well, based off what you said, I just want to bring up these two stats. Wild stats. And I think that you would, if I said what team did this, I think you would get the answer, but I don't think you would get the margin. The Warriors led the NBA by 100. It's like 102 in hockey assists.
Yeah, I believe that.
Like insanity.
Yeah. They kept mentioning it on the broadcast the last two games.
They also led the NBA in dribbles per touch, like so they're the lowest in dribbles per touch. And they have the fastest catch to pass, catch to shoot radius in the NBA. Like all next level stats, but like when I read that, I looked it all up, I was amazed. I kind of knew that they were, but that speaks to the volumes of their offense and what they do offensively. Let me flip it over to the other side. I have a plan for Boston. They're not going to like it, but I have a plan for getting them back in the finals next year and giving them a better opportunity to win. For the Boston Celtics, they need a point guard, a play-making point guard. It's not that I don't like Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart's a very good defender. You could easily move him to the 2, move Jaylen Brown to the 3, and Tatum play your 4. You could do that, and it wouldn't be any problem. But they need a play-making point guard. And the way I see you doing that is moving on from Marcus Smart. You could easily trade him for a guy that's going to be a distributor of the basketball. We talk about Jason Tatum's there's two things that I looked at in this series. But we talk about Jason Tatum's turnovers. I don't think he was getting the ball in the best situations. And I think that if you have a point guard that is creating offense for you, a la Steph Curry, a la my man Chris Paul, a la any type of point guard that can give you Kyle Lowry in his prime. I don't care who it is. I need a playmaker in Boston that can get them better shots, get them the ball going towards the rim. That's one. That has to happen. Second, Boston's not going to like this. You're not going to like this. Cottrell's not going to like this. Jaylen Brown's got to be my guy on the stretch. He's got to be my closer, not Jason Tatum. And I think my point that I made a couple shows ago, and I'll say it again, in 2 years from now, Jaylen Brown will be a better basketball player than Jason Tatum. And I will still stake my ground there.
I'll still stick with Tatum. I think he comes back and he learns from this, and I think he's driven by it. I mean, he's been pretty much drug, across the media, and pretty much been made the scapegoat for Boston losing. So
he's not. It's not his fault.
I'm not saying that, but it always goes on one person's shoulder. He's the face of the team. He's the biggest star on the team. It's going to go to him, and he didn't play particularly well.
Correct.
Jalen made some mistakes down the stretch too. I mean, I wouldn't say I would be confident in handing him the keys either. But listen, I mean, they have a rare opportunity where those two guys can grow together. Like it's kind of like what we thought we were going to have with Ben and JoJo. Like they have that. They can both shoot. They're both athletic. They're both very good players. You know, I don't disagree with you on the Smart thing whatsoever. I'm not a Marcus Smart guy. But
I have a trade.
What's your trade?
I would trade Marcus Smart and Grant Williams and your first-round draft pick to the Spurs for DeJounte Murray. And I think both teams do it.
That's a lot, man.
Would be very foolish to do that trade.
I think both teams do it. So it's a first-round draft pick, Marcus Smart, and Grant Williams.
You say first-round pick, but first-round picks in the NBA don't mean much, especially if it's going to be 29.
Give him a first and a pick swap.
That's a lot, man.
I would do it.
I mean, I don't care about.
He can be.
I don't
he
care
can
about.
be a cornerstone guard for you. Marcus Smart, you know, you're not going to build around Marcus Smart. The Spurs can build around DeJounte Murray.
That's why they kept him and they traded White. I mean, they've made it clear that he's going to be their guy. They're going to go forward and try to build around. I don't think they do it, and I do agree with Cottrell. Well, I think Smart is a very good complementary piece if he's playing on a team that has 2 or 3 significant scores. I think he's a great addition to be a point guard and that defensive guy. You're not building a championship team around Marcus.
Okay,
Smart,
well, I got plan B for you.
Okay,
Lonzo Ball.
I don't think Lonzo Ball's going anywhere.
That's my plan B. Lonzo Ball, because Chicago,
that could work.
They're held captive right now by what Zach LaVine does. They're held captive. They are. And you also have Alex Caruso that can run the show in Chicago. So you could easily go with a Marcus Smart, Caruso, and then DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine. You could easily do that.
I wouldn't say Caruso can run the show, but I'm picking up. I could see that. I could see, especially seeing how good they were. Granted, they were better with Lonzo on the court, but seeing them still make the playoffs, you know, even after Lonzo's injury.
But that's a playmaking guard that can set them up.
Lonzo.
That's a playmaking, and he's a better shooter than Marcus Smart.
Yep.
Not by much, but better. Lonzo Ball, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Robert Williams, Al Horford.
Again, I think it all depends on what happens with LaVine. I mean, if LaVine does leave, then there's no shot they're letting Ball go. I don't see that going down that way.
It seems like it's all but a done deal that LaVine's going to sign a 5-year Supermax.
I just don't know if it's going to be a sign trade or not. He definitely has made it clear he wants the Supermax, but if he doesn't want to play there, they're going to get stuff back for him.
All the reports that I saw said that he wants to sign with the Bulls, and the Bulls are telling teams that he's re-signing.
Okay. I mean, you're probably right. I know that I've seen Zach LaVine as a free agent target for a lot of teams right now. So until it's done, it's not done. And if Zach LaVine stays there, then you got a better chance of it.
Yeah. I mean, from Chicago's point of view, though, that doesn't make you better. So
I think it does.
What, Smart over Ball?
I think both make you better. Both teams.
I think that gives Chicago a true leader. And granted, you know, Marcus Smart isn't going to be the best player on that team. They have 2 guys that can go get it done in crunch time and things like that, but they don't have a bona fide leader on that team. And I think Marcus Smart can be that guy. And he can bring that dog to Chicago. You know, he can get them to get that defensive intensity and things like that. I think he can get buy-in on that team where you're not getting that from Lonzo. And then on the other side, Boston gets a true facilitator. So
dramatically better offensive player than Marcus Smart. Like, it's not even close.
And Marcus Smart's a dramatically better. Well, first of all, it's not dramatically better.
Yes, it is.
Steph Curry's dramatically better than Marcus Smart.
Lonzo Ball, for what he's going to do scoring and creating, he's dramatically better than Marcus Smart.
So what's dramatically better? 4 points more a game?
Marcus Smart's not going to shoot that ball that much if he goes to Chicago. He's a third option there.
Follow me real quick. What's dramatically better?
He's a definite group above.
I think the
Marcus
difference between Marcus Smart,
they're not the same level.
So we'll do the same thing we always do, right? I think the difference in Marcus Smart's defense versus Lonzo Ball's defense is greater than the difference in Lonzo Ball's offense and Marcus Smart's defense. I mean, Marcus Smart's
Lonzo
offense.
plays defense.
But Lonzo does play defense. You're right. Marcus Smart's defense player of the year.
I I think Lonzo Ball is clearly like no gray area whatsoever, the better basketball player all around.
I don't think it's gray. I think it's gray. I think it's shades.
Nah,
50 shades of gray.
I don't.
I'd rather have Lonzo 10 times out of 10, but I think
not for Chicago.
Close. I think they're
Listen,
close
Chicago
players.
put that together to see what they had, and they still don't know. Like Caruso was out the majority of the year. Zach LaVine got hurt. Ball was hurt. They really don't even know what they have yet. So I don't think there's any chance they blow that up if they don't have to before running it and see how they actually all play together.
So blowing that up is not necessarily what I mean. DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, Alex Caruso, Marcus Smart. That's not blowing it up. Vucevic. That's not blowing it up. If you move Lonzo Ball for a tougher guy, a guy that gets your team tougher and helps you down the stretch.
You're making it sound like they lost because they weren't tough. They lost because they were literally like riddled with injuries and like nobody's saying Chicago has a toughness problem.
I don't
like
think
you're trying really hard to sell me on Marcus Smart, and I don't think anybody looks at him that way. Like if
defensive player of the year.
Okay, that's it. He's not improving. If they make that trade, I guarantee you Chicago's odds to win the championship go down. Get worse.
I disagree.
Okay. I don't think Chicago makes that trade in any facet of the world.
100% wins that deal if that's the case.
Agreed. 100%.
I think they're close caliber players, so I don't think it's as bad as Bill's making it seem. But
again, if you had your choice, who are you taking?
What team?
I said I'm taking Lonzo.
Okay.
Every time.
Okay.
Every time. You just said a minute ago Marcus Smart would be a better fit in Chicago.
10 out of 10. So that's a definite. You
just said a minute ago Marcus Smart would be better in Chicago.
Yeah,
you just said that.
Role, yes, he'd be better. But I'm talking about who's the better player. That's what I'm talking about. If I had a draft and it was those two, I'm taking Lonzo Ball every time.
I feel like it depends on what team you have around him. I feel like that matters with those two. But Steph Curry. We started this last week, and it sparked a huge controversy. I've got a lot of people text messaging me. Where do you have him on your top 10? Well, hold on. Let me stop. Do you have him in your top 10 players of all time? Where do you have him on your all-time point guards list? Which should be the same for everybody, but I'm just asking the question.
There's only one answer to that question.
And then, if you put him in your top 10, who did you take off to put him there? Cottrell, you want to start? I know we talked about this earlier.
Yeah, so I mean, he's in my top 10. He's 9, 10. Probably have him at 10 if you go over the full list. When it comes to point guards, though, he's the second best point guard ever. And I think he has an opportunity, once it's all said and done, to be, the best point guard ever and lay claim to that. But right now, he's still behind Magic for me. But I do think this championship and this Finals MVP has moved him into the top 10.
So who did you take out of your top 10?
I got to go look at my list and see who I had a few weeks ago.
So my question would be, I'm going to ask you, do you have him in your top 10?
I believe I had Olajuwon at 10, so he would be taking him out.
Fair.
I need to know what your 10 is then. If Akeem was in, that means somebody else is. Well, you
didn't have Bill Russell.
You didn't have Russell in. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, in that situation, yeah, I would put him in over Akeem.
You have him in your top 10?
Going back and forth with this all day.
I feel you. I'm like that too, bro. I'm like close. I'll stop. I want to hear your point.
No, I mean, no. Point guard wise, Magic, what, won? 5?
5 championships.
Yep.
I mean, if Steph does eke another one out somehow, then I mean, it gets that's a debate that I thought we would never have.
I still not. I think even if Steph wins another one, it's still not debatable.
I mean, you could at least make an argument.
Could you make an argument that 2 of his 5 championships, he wasn't the best player on his team? If he wins another one? Okay, so you can make it for 1, and that was the year that Magic played center. Like, you can make it for 1, and that was the year that Magic played center.
They both played with loaded teams, dude. I mean, you're starting to split hairs there, and I'm not saying I would put it in front of them, but you can make a compelling argument.
Do you have Steph in your top 10?
Putting you back on the spot.
Yeah, 100%.
Honestly, don't know, man. I mean, I've gone back and forth it so many times since they won. Like, if you just look at it on at face value, he's won 4. He's got his Finals MVP now. He's a 2-time MVP, and he's the best shooter of the basketball
Ever.
literally ever.
But if we're talking about,
I get it. I'm just saying it's like I think that just has to matter at some point before you start like getting into numbers and everything. Like we had that interesting conversation right before we got here, on that article I read today. That I think universally, if you just said on face value that Larry and Steph were comparable players, most people will tell you you're nuts. And if you really look at the numbers, they're actually very comparable players. Would I put him in over Larry Bird? I don't know, but it's not.
you
as,
don't know?
It's not as crazy. No, my answer would be no.
Okay,
but
there
it's
you go.
But it's not as far fetched as I think. If people just heard it without looking at anything, is that they would think, and it's not.
I think it's way more far-fetched than you think it is. And I know, I follow your point, right? The points are almost equal. Steph edges them by a little bit, right?
Steph's like 24.5, Bird's like 24.3.
Okay, so Steph edges them by a shade on points. Steph edges them by 0.2 of a assist per game over Larry.
Yeah.
Larry has way more rebounds. He's obviously bigger.
Yeah.
Larry is a way better defender.
I mean, at the beginning, yeah.
Larry was a way better defender.
At the beginning, yeah. Yeah, I'm just saying, yeah. Like the beginning of his career, yeah. Like Steph's a better defender at this point in his career than Larry Bird was.
Larry Bird wasn't playing at this point in his career.
He was still
playing 40 games and he had a back injury.
Well, okay.
Okay. I don't think the Larry Bird thing's that close. I have Steph, and I'll help you. I have Steph 10. The 9 people I have above Steph are Mike, LeBron, Wilt, Kobe, Kareem, Magic, Bird, Shaq, Timmy. I'm not going to play the order game right now, but they're the 9 I have above him.
No, I mean, he's probably 10.
You have Bill Russell. I
mean, that wasn't
almost did it in order.
What's changing? I mean, that's your order. And that's fine. If you have a 10, I mean, here's the thing. This is what I will say. If he's in the top 10,
he's 10.
He's 10.
Because you can't put him over any of those 9.
Agreed.
Okay.
Your argument really is him, Russell, and like Akeem, and maybe one other person, depending on what your top 10 is.
But I think we're all prisoners in a moment, and I think if you were asked this question at the end of last year, Kevin Durant was ranked ahead of Steph Curry. At the end of last year.
Agreed.
Like we're prisoners in a moment. I agree with you. A finals and a finals MVP does that.
Well, and he also now has 2 without Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant ain't won shit without Steph Curry.
Fact. So. And I like Steph a lot more than I like Kevin Durant.
So do I.
But there's never been a time, and me and Control had this debate earlier. There's never been a time in Steph's entire career where I've ever said he's the best player in the NBA. Ever. Even his unanimous MVP, he had the best season, but LeBron was a better player.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, there's never been a time he's been the best player in the NBA.
That's fair.
Now, the only other people on this list that you could argue that would be Tim Duncan, and it was very close because 2002, he's probably the best player in the league, but Kobe Bryant's on his ascend. Like, you got to understand where 2002 is.
You're talking about being You're talking about being the best player in the league.
Best player in the league.
Oh, okay, I thought you meant like on the list because I don't think Tim Duncan's an argument to come off that list at all.
No, but Tim Duncan's one you could argue.
I misunderstood
what you're saying. 2002 and 2003, you can make a significant argument that Tim Duncan was the best player in the league. Like you'd say he's the best. Shaq would be up there, and LeBron came in the league. He wasn't really LeBron, like great LeBron, until 05, 06. Fair, Control?
Yep. Yep.
But you can't make an argument for anybody. Every other person, all 8 of those people, there's been no doubt about it. They were the best. Like Bird was MVP 84 through 86. Like he was the best player in the league. Magic was the best player in the league at one point. Shaquille O'Neal was the best player in the league. 1999, 100%. No one's arguing that. Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Wilt Chamberlain. This is silly arguments. Tim's the only one, and Tim Duncan did something that is absurd and that will probably never be replicated. But 13 straight years, first team all NBA, and first team all defense. 13 straight years, never be replicated. Any response? Anything?
No,
when you look at it like that, I mean, I don't think that there's, I don't think that you can say definitively that Steph belongs in the top nine. Um, I do think though that for Steph, and I think Timmy kind of had the same issue. Um, when you're playing in an era literally with some of the all-time greats, it's tough, and it's you're not going to be. I mean, there's no slight to be the second best player in the league,
No,
for
100%. 100. I agree with you. I follow you. But Steph's 10. And if he's 10, he might be 11. It's close. And I'll tell you right now, if Durant wins 2 championships, he passes him. Now, that's saying a lot. Durant's got to win 2 championships. But, it's not crazy to say that. I want to just post some comments from the Wireline. Bird is better at every single other part of the game. Bird made all defensive second team a few times. Bird is a much better passer than Steph. Same assist numbers, but Steph is playing point guard. That's Kevin Mooney. If you're starting a team in their prime, you take Durant. Steph ranks higher, but Durant is the better all-around player. I agree with everything he said.
The one thing though that I will comment on with that though too is that, Gene, I was telling you earlier, I think when it's all set, Kevin Durant can get the milestone accomplishments like the championships. He gets 2-3 more championships. We're having a whole different discussion. But when it comes from purely talent, I think Kevin Durant, you could argue, is a top 3, top 4 basketball player ever.
Talent-wise.
Yeah, talent-wise.
Yeah, 6'10", he can shoot the basketball from 38 feet. I agree with you, yes.
And when he was a little bit younger, he still played defense. Now he still plays defense now, but he was playing at a higher level when he was
still with
Oklahoma
7'3" wingspan. You better play some defense.
I think that actually goes into Steph's argument, his favor a little bit. He has he gets a lot of credit. Does it who gets more out of their body than Steph Curry? In that he almost has
of all time. I would argue Allen Iverson.
But that's the comparable. That's my point. There's nobody that gets more out of what he can do, and being oversized than Steph Curry. And exactly, it's AI, and that's why AI was so revered. Everybody's like, oh, he's 6'1". You ever saw AI in person? AI's 5'10", 5'11" on a good day. AI has never been 6 foot in his life ever. So, I mean, yeah, I mean to be
6'3" though, it's not like he's just some little guy.
Yeah, but he's very frail.
$170, man.
Yeah.
I don't think Steph's even 6'3". Steph's probably I get it, but I'm just saying, when you're constantly playing against LeBron, who's built like Ray Lewis but faster and can dunk and shoot, I think it factors. I think that's why Steph gets even more love. I really do.
100%.
And he's just for everything we've ever been told or see, he's just a great human being. So, I mean, there's just nothing to dislike about him.
I'm with you. I like Steph a lot. I want to put him in my top 10 list. And I took Bill Russell off to put him in my top 10 list. That's a big name to take off. And I know me and Kittrell see very similar about Bill Russell. And Bill Russell, won a ton of championships. But, I will say this. If you're talking about players that changed the game, Steph Curry changed the game almost as much as Wilt Chamberlain, Michael Jordan, and LeBron James. Changing the game was. His impact on the game. I'll tell you right now, in 5 years from now, you will see the true impact of what Steph Curry did. Because all these kids that are on the playground, that are coming up, are shooting the ball from everywhere. And I think that you'll see that in 4 or 5 years. Do you think Steph is a top 20 player of all time? And you would take 20 players over them? Yes, come on, Kev.
What?
Steph is a top 20 player of all time.
That's
yes.
not even.
Steph is one of the worst defenders I've ever seen in my life. He's gotten better. He's still terrible. No, the worst defender you ever seen in your life is named Steve Nash. Stop bringing up defensive. Listen, Steph Curry at least has active hands on the defensive ends. Steve Nash was a fish on the defensive end. All right. Anybody, any other comments on Steph Curry and his greatness before we move on? We have the draft to get into.
I'm kind of interested in Kevin's comment because you get into some yes, I do. I would say top 20 player, but you get into some interesting names when you say like just one series. Like Steph Curry's like greatness wise, of course, like he's better than Giannis. But if I had one series, am I
I'm taking
taking
Giannis.
the 6'11" Giannis, or am I taking
Gian,
Steph Curry? Like, and then you get Kevin Durant and things like that. So I
But
think that's actually.
Gian,
but
yeah,
but
but
Giannis's
is what?
career's not over.
I
And
would
I
say
think
Giannis is what, 24?
he's young.
Yeah.
I think that Giannis at the end of his career, you can make. You're talking about like the top 20 players, like their prime. They're in for one series only, and
And
not like
I
they're
think that's what Kevin's talking about. So I think
okay.
that's when it does get a little bit interesting if you look at it that way.
Yeah, but then you're taking like MVP year stuff then.
That's fine.
I'm just, well, again,
If you want to be clear, I think Steph last year and this year is better than MVP year Steph.
This year, no, but
I'm not talking about
I'd
statistically as a
with
whole
it.
haul. I'm talking about like see, he didn't play every game this year. He got hurt. I'm
But
saying
even
like with
before
the
that,
amount
though,
the amount of defense that gets rolled towards him, like the way he's cycling that offense, like their offensive efficiency is better than it's ever been. Period. The way they're passing the ball, the dribbles, like I'm telling you, all those next level stats I'm talking about, their offensive efficiency and it all. Richard Jefferson said this, and I think it's a really good point. Steph Curry's like the JJ Redick actually said. Steph Curry's like the sun. Like everything the Warriors do rotates around him. Everything the defending team does rotates around him.
Yeah.
I mean, to that point though about the stats and everything, I'd argue that outside the year with Kevin Durant, this is the best roster that they've had in this Warriors era. So
Outside
of course the stats are going to look
3
better
years
when
with
you got
Kevin Durant.
when you got Andrew Wiggins. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, the 1 year he got hurt in the final. That's the
But outside the 3 years that
2 years
Kevin
they won the
Durant.
championship.
Okay.
Yeah, the 3 years.
So
But, I
you're
mean,
saying this
even
roster's
then,
better
like,
than
this
their roster?
roster,
Yeah, of course this roster's
this
better
roster's
than
deeper.
Yeah,
than
but this
even when
roster
they had Durant. Of course, the roster with Durant was better because it had Kevin Durant. But this roster is deeper than they've ever had a roster.
I think that this roster is better than their first championship roster. I don't think anybody's going to argue with you there. That's the argument you're making, right? This roster versus their first championship?
I'm saying anybody, yeah, well, yes, but
That's the argument.
Anytime that Steph can throw the ball to a guy that averages 20 points a game, of course, your numbers are going to look better. As a
At
team.
what point
Everybody
do you
puts the
give
ball in the
Steph the
bucket.
credit for making them better, though? So like let me follow what I'm saying, right? Do you think Jordan Poole is an absolute superstar in this league if he didn't play with Golden State?
I don't think he's a superstar now, though.
No, I'm saying, do you think he becomes one on his own without like a Steph Curry led team, like without like that type of role around him, with that type of coaching staff, that type of team atmosphere? Do you think Jordan Poole naturally was just going to come out and be a superstar no matter where he went?
Naturally,
Yes.
no. Of course, it has some impact of where you're at. But if Jordan Poole left the Warriors tomorrow and he played for another team for
Okay.
the next 3 to 4 seasons, I think Jordan Poole would be a good basketball
Do
player.
you think Andrew Wiggins would be as good as he is in a different situation? Any different situation. You can get the whole league.
The market definitely helped him out, but Andrew Wiggins wasn't an absolute bum before. He just wasn't number one pick material.
Okay, so my point being is, at what point do you give him credit for making those other players better? Let me ask you another question. Do you think Draymond Green is an absolute like an all NBA type player? Not obviously statistically, but like a very valuable player in a different system, on a different scheme, on a different team? The answer is no.
No, he's most valuable, but he's most valuable with the Warriors. But once again, that's not to say that these guys can't hoop. Steph may be getting the absolute most out of those guys, but they're still good basketball players.
Yeah, but that's like Gene's point. Like if they're playing somewhere and you're getting like an 80 rating out of them, but they're playing with Steph and you're getting a 92 rating out of them, like you have to give him credit for that. That's the one. Like even when KD went there, like he was okay playing second fiddle to KD because it was better for the team. Like everybody was better because of it. Like he makes people better.
And that's the argument why J. Kidd or Chris Paul or other players of that nature are in the Hall of Fame. Not because they're statistically good. It's because they make everyone around them better. So I think the thing that we have to look at with point guards, like even Showtime, even the Showtime Lakers, which I got to watch a ton of their games. The Showtime Lakers, Magic made them all better. Made them all better.
I'm not arguing with you.
All right, well, we got to move on to the NBA draft. It's 40 minutes in. I love having NBA conversations. NBA draft is tomorrow night. I would like to hear your – all right, so who do you think goes 1? Let's start there. Let's stop. Who do you think Orlando goes with? They haven't showed their hands. They can either go with – I mean, there's been 3 names that have been talked about. Well, 3 things, not 2 names and 1 thing. Trade the pick, Chet Holmgren, Jabari Smith. That's the 3 things that is circling around Orlando.
I think they're taking Jabari.
You think they're taking Jabari?
I do.
What do you think?
I think they're taking Chet. I don't think Chet wants to be there, and I think they're seriously shopping that pick. And if someone gives them the right offer, I do think they're going to take it. But officially, I think they're going with Chet.
Do you think that the trade today could mean that the Pistons are looking to trade up to that spot? I think a trade happens.
I think the trade today means that the Pistons are willing to back up the Brinks truck for DeAndre Ayton.
I think the trade today means that they're definitely taking a wing. I think it means that they're trying to get Jabari Smith. And I think that if they don't get Jabari Smith, I think they end up taking Keegan Murray. We talked about in this card. I just forget names.
Yeah, which is what I exactly think is going to happen for them.
I think 100% that's what it means for the Pistons. They're trading up.
I love that pick for them. If that's what they do.
So I think they're trading the pick. I think Orlando trades the pick. I think the reason they've been so quiet about it is they're not in love with any of them. And I'm not either. Just to be clear, the consensus top 3 or top 2, to me, are busts. I think they're both busts in the NBA. And I know you'll argue with me on one. You won't argue with me on the other, and I get it. But I think Jabari Smith and Chet Holmgren are not going to live up to the hype. I don't think they'll be awful players. I don't think you could be 7 foot, be able to dribble the basketball and shoot and be terrible. Like, I don't think that Chet Holmgren's going to be awful. I don't think Jabari Smith is going to be terrible. But, like, Jabari Smith, and I said this in the car, and I know he's comparable with Kevin Durant with their size, the length. I follow. But he reminds me of a poor man's Tracy McGrady in a sense that I don't think he loves basketball. And I watched him in that tournament, and I just seen someone that quit. I just seen that. Maybe I seen Ben Simmons. I seen someone that quit. Just someone that just disinterested.
I'm not going to disagree with you. Anything you said with Chet, I think Jabari and Paolo are the 2 best players in the draft, in my opinion.
Okay.
If I had the first pick, I would pick one of those 2 guys. Chet wouldn't be in the discussion, and I would say I would go with what's a kid from Purdue's name?
Jaden Ivey.
Jaden Ivey would be 3rd for me. Chet would be 4th for me. Maybe
might even fall down further.
He might fall down further than that.
Benedict Mathurin, bro. That kid's going to be... Benedict Mathurin, I'm telling you, the kid from Arizona, he reminds me so much of Jamal Crawford. It's silly. Just heat up. Like buckets per minute.
The only part about Jabari that, and again, I think body-wise he compares with Durant. I don't know who he is style-wise. He shoots very well from the outside, though. I'm not saying he's gonna be Kevin Durant, so I don't want any messages.
No, I get it.
But one of these lunatics will think that's what I'm saying. So, I'll disagree with him loving or not loving basketball though. If you watched when they got bounced in the SEC tournament, he literally was like screaming at people going down the hallway already. He held the players only meeting. He laid into everybody, including himself. He had accountability. I think he's very passionate about basketball. I don't see that with him at all. That would not be a concern for me in drafting him. I'm not saying Orlando's going to take him. I do agree with you. I don't think Orlando's in love with anybody in this draft. I just don't know what Detroit would have to give up to go from 5 to 1 though. Like that's.
I think the 2 players
when I think
that are no doubt about it hits in this draft. No doubt about it hits in this draft. Paulo Banchero, who's my number 1, and Jaden Ivey is my number 2. They're my 2 that I think that are 100% home runs.
I think Jaden has, I want to say, less downside. I mean, Paulo's going to learn how to play defense.
Yeah.
Like you want to talk about effort, like on the court, and like his effort on the defensive end's terrible. Like he's gonna be a liability in the NBA defensively.
I think that his footwork is very poor defensively.
Gotcha.
I don't think that his will to play defense is bad. And I think that in big moments, you've seen his will pick up, and I think his footwork isn't great. And just be clear, I've watched a ton of. He's my favorite player this entire year.
Yeah, no.
As far as
listen, I would. They're 1-2 for me, and again, it would be like if I was picking two, whichever one the team in front of me didn't pick, I would pick the other one, and the card would be handed in 10 seconds.
And you have Ivy 3?
Yes.
Okay. Control, top 3. You said it already, right? Say it again for me.
My top 3 would be Paulo Banchero is 1, Jaden Ivey 2. My number 3 would be Keegan Murray. I think Keegan Murray is a guy who can, fill up a stat sheet. We saw it at Iowa. He's a good shooter, good size. And he rebounds the basketball well. So I think that's a guy, especially the way that the NBA is headed towards. I think he's a guy for you. If he gets a little bit more physical, he could run your 5 and you could really stretch the floor. So I would really like Keegan Murray in that aspect. And I think just seeing what I saw from him last year at Iowa, I think he's already more developed than what Jabari Smith is. I think Jabari Smith would be more of a project. He's a big kid who it almost seems like he doesn't quite know exactly what to do with his size yet. I think he has a lot of upside, and I think if he goes to the right situation, he can be a good player. Me, not taking a project at number 1 or number 2 overall. So I'll be more comfortable taking Keegan Murray.
Shall, your thoughts?
No, Jabari's I think Jabari's 19. So I think you'd say the same thing about him you would about Paulo. If you're going to take Chet, the same thing. They're going to have some growing up to do. I don't think they're projects per se. But they're going to have to adapt and, to Cottrell's point, learn how their game fits in the NBA. I just think there's certain things Jabari can do, with that size and shoot from the outside and stretch defenses. He presents a very unique set of skills that nobody else in that draft can, other than Chet. And again, I don't like Chet. I'm not sold on Chet. That's why he's not my top 3. I would take
Chet played 3 or 4 games last year versus guys that can physically take him to the basket, and he looked lost.
Well, that, and he looked lost and
bullied.
Yeah, and all he wanted to do at that point was start to take jump shots,
and bad jump shots,
and not good ones. Correct.
I think they need to lock him in a room with a bunch of cheeseburgers and milkshakes, add 25 pounds to the kid, maybe 35 pounds to him, get him in a weight room, have him muscle that out, and Chet Holmgren could eventually be a serviceable or a good player in the NBA. I don't think he'll ever be a starter in the All-Star game. And I hate the way he's talking to the media now. I hate the way he's talking. And if you're not following me, he said recently in an interview, don't be the guy that missed on Chet Holmgren, speaking about himself. I hate that mentality.
I don't hate the mentality. We've seen it. Whatever it takes to get you to that point, and the pettiness. You saw it with Kobe. You saw it with Michael. That's what spurred the whole thing. Start with Michael being cut, being passed over in the draft. I'm okay with the mentality. Vocalizing it is the part I think
the perfect fit for a guy like Chet would be Oklahoma City, even though they have the second pick, so he can develop for 2-3 years without the expectations, and have a in and out game with SJA.
I don't
think it's a good pick for them.
I don't disagree with that either. I think they'll no pressure there. They're nowhere near being close to contending. Orlando's a little bit closer to a win now type thing with the picks they've made the last couple of years, and if they can keep guys healthy, I'm not saying contend to win a championship, but you can make an argument the next year or two Orlando make the playoffs.
By the way, do you think anybody in that Orlando front office doesn't know about who Chet Holmgren is, knowing that they drafted Jalen Suggs last year from that Gonzaga program? I guarantee you they know exactly who that kid is.
Well, that, and again, I think it's, I was shocked to hear Cottrell think that Orlando's taking Chet, because everything I've read the last couple of days, there's been a few people that think they're trading out. Pretty much everybody else thinks they're taking Jabari. So They have played it close to the vest, so again, I mean, they could be up to something big and something crazy. I mean, they could walk up there and take Chet too, but I don't think they're going to.
I think with the rapport that Jalen Suggs, I'm sure Jalen Suggs is already clamoring to get Chet to Orlando, and Orlando keeps missing on their bigs. Of course they just traded away Vucevic. They drafted Mo Bamba. They keep missing on these bigs, and I think at some point you got to get it right. And if it came down to Jabari or Chet, I think that Magic organization, especially having the familiar face in the building with Jalen Suggs, I think they would ultimately pick Chet. But I do think they're going to try and shop that pick. But this is a draft class where I wouldn't be clamoring to go up to number one. If I was clamoring to go up to one, I would take Paolo, and I think I could get Paolo at 3. So I don't know what team would be willing to move the kind of capital that the Magic will be looking for to get the one pick off their hands.
It might not take much capital. Philadelphia moved from 3 to 1 a few years back by just giving a future first and swapping from 3 to 1. I know 5 to 1's a little different than that, but I don't think it will take that much capital in this draft because there's not a surefire number 1. But I do think this. If you think Paolo Banchero, if you think like I think, and it's a 2 prospect draft, like there's 2 absolute home runs, and then everybody else is a project. Not a project, but like, I won't say everybody else is a project. That's not accurate, but there's 2 guys I'm very sure on, and you have the opportunity to get one of those 2 guys, and you're sitting around 4 or 5. Why not? Like, why wait till 3 and hope he's there? Why?
Well, if you're thinking of it that way, I mean, Houston again with all the draft picks they have and the young kids.
I think Houston's
unless you're absolutely sold that Orlando's taking him number 1, there's no you would. It's kind of be like what we ended up doing. Like you're going to give stuff away maybe for no reason because the likelihood if Orlando doesn't take him, the likelihood is he's falling to you anyway.
Houston's 3, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think Houston's already preparing to take Chet Holmgren if they can get him. That's why they traded Christian Wood.
I disagree. The only person they brought in was Paulo. Yeah, they went and saw him privately and then brought him in, and they're the only, that's the only kid they've done that with. I don't think there's a shot in hell.
I just think that
they're
the
taking
Christian
Chet.
Wood trade is really interesting.
I mean,
I think that clears the way for Paulo.
Correct. You have Paulo, Christian. I mean, yeah. I mean, that's a void. I think that's a clear sign. That's a clear sign. I think they want him.
I think that Rockets team is going to be a dangerous out. I don't think they make the playoffs this upcoming year, but the following year after that, I think they're going to make the playoffs, and they're going to be a team that can really make some noise.
You think that Rockets team starting to look like the Oklahoma City team that blew up?
If you looked at that team at the end of the year last year, they went on a little spurt with I would say a month ago. They went on that 5-game winning streak, and they beat a bunch of good teams. And they kind of shot their load there and went back to what they were, but. I mean, the glimpses are there. It's there. I mean, Jalen's got to play better. I mean, I don't think he was exactly what everybody thought he was going to be last year. But again, it's another year under his belt. I mean, it's you got to see how these guys progress from year to year, and we see it all the time with rookies and young guys. They always have that year if they're great, they make that huge jump. So they're gonna have a ton of talent there. John Wall acting like he's going to play now. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen there with that. But
give me a guy not in the top 4 or 5 right now that you think could be a quality piece in the NBA.
Cottrell can go first. I'm sure he's going to say. I'm sure Cottrell's got 7.
I just got 2.
Okay.
1, I think if you get him late lottery, it'll be good value. Of course, he's a Buckeye, but that only played a small part into it. Malachi Branham, I think that's a guy who can create his own shot, and if you can get him late, I think that'd be a good piece for you to come off the bench and maybe down the line become a starter for you.
I thought you were
the other guy who's been.
I was waiting for you to say EJ and watch Gene's head explode.
No, not EJ. I like Malachi a lot more. The other one is Nikola Jovic. He's been shooting up draft boards. I haven't seen a ton of his film, but just his intangibles. The way he could shoot the ball, his size, I think he can come in. And again, if you get him, mid to late first round, I think that'd be a good piece for you to come off the bench. And I think you could really, build a second unit with him, maybe even have him potentially become a starter for you.
Yeah, I don't disagree. He's projected late first round now. so I follow with him. But Jacques, do you have one?
I do. Do you have more than one? Because
I have one. So I'm not gonna use Benedict Mathurin. I told you I love him a ton.
Okay, that's not
but
who I
he's
was going to
sixth.
use.
But my guy's Johnny Davis.
That's who I was going to use.
I think Johnny Davis can come in and be a decent 2-guard in the league. He can shoot the lights out, and I think that Johnny Davis, the kid from Wisconsin, can be very helpful for the right team in the right situation.
I'll throw another name out just because I was going to use Johnny, but I'm just going down the list of because this guy's been attached to Cottrell's boys quite a bit. Baji from Kansas, I think if he goes to a team where he can just do his thing, I think he has a chance to be a very successful professional.
You know what I learned about him in the national championship?
What?
And what I learned about him throughout his entire Final Four run? He's going to be a very, very, very good spot shooter in the NBA.
Yep.
I just don't know how much shot creation he's going to be able to make in the NBA. He can make a lot of contested shots, but doesn't seem like he can get to a spot and make those contested shots. Does that make sense?
I mean, he's not going to be, Steph Curry coming off screens, but
nobody's going to be Steph Curry.
But I don't think he's got to be a spot shooter per se. I think he's got more to his game than that.
Okay.
Yes, Villanova.
Well, that's not fair. That's not fair.
Started like 19 for 19 in that game.
Stanley Cup Finals. Moving on.
2-1. 2-1.
We're about to start in like 10 minutes.
Yeah, about 15 minutes.
What do you think happens in Game 4? Has anything changed on your predictions in the series? Charles got it all right, so I'm assuming nothing changed in your prediction. You still have Avalanche in 6?
Yep, I think the Lightning take it tonight, and I think Colorado wins 2 in a row.
Kind of mirroring the NBA Finals, honestly. I mean, I thought we were going to kind of have like this high octane type series. I just thought all the games would be closer. They've all been blowouts.
Well, Game 1 was great. Overtime.
Yeah, I mean, it was statistically, if you look at that game, though, like
Colorado
dominated that game. Vasilevsky made a couple really big saves when he had to, and Tampa Bay just held into that game by the skin of their teeth. And then Colorado scored like a minute into overtime. They were like, "Yeah, this is over." I think Kucherov is the big question mark tonight. He played one more shift after he got hurt. Everybody's seen the video of him walking down the tunnel back to the locker room. He's in obvious pain. They're saying he's going to play. Braden points out, but he's been out pretty much the whole series. So I think it comes down to the most important player in the series. Like I said, it was going to. I think Vasilevsky has to stand on his head again tonight. I think if it's 2-2, then going back to Colorado, then I think my prediction has a shot. I think if Colorado wins tonight, I think it's over on, it'll be over Friday.
Over in 5.
Yeah.
I think tonight is a huge shoot. It's way more important for Tampa than it is for Colorado.
Agreed.
Colorado looks like the better team. Even last game, I know Tampa Bay lit the lamp a lot and the home crowd behind them, but Colorado just looks like the better team. Now,
that was the first game Tampa looked like they were like in the game though. Tampa created a bunch of chances on their own. Like they looked like an offensive hockey team in that game, whereas both games of Colorado, I agree with you. I think they just got whitewashed off the ice. You need that effort again tonight.
How much better did Tampa look in Game 3 than Colorado, in your opinion? Because I don't think it looked much better. I think they scored more, and I think that
I don't think they looked dominant or anything. But I mean, you're not. I don't. Tampa Bay also plays a slightly different style than Colorado does. They're not going to look as pretty. I don't want to use that term, but they're not going to look as pretty as Colorado does when Colorado is like functioning on all cylinders.
I do think too that Tampa Bay came out with a lot more effort in Game 3. I think that there was more of a fire under them. I think they played with a little bit more sense of urgency in Game 3. And I think once they really started scoring, that just kind of momentum is a big thing in all sports. And I think Tampa got that momentum and they kept lighting the lamp. So I think we're going to see more of that tonight. I think tonight's going to be a closer game. I think it's going to be somewhat high scoring. I got Tampa winning like 5-3.
Love that you used effort. Effort's such a good hockey word.
I hate that word.
I love it.
I hate that word in any finals. I didn't want to say anything because I love Cottrell and I understand his point. but I hate that word in any finals, any big game. I hate they wanted it more. I hate those expressions.
I they wanted it more, but then
no, I follow, but like I don't.
Back.
I think in the NHL Stanley Cup Finals, that the effort is going to be high octane on both ends throughout every game. And I don't think it's going to be like.
I mean, I think it's about like the whole home court thing, like home field. Teams just play better in front of their fans.
Yeah,
and I
that's
think
fair.
that it's not an effort. It's not necessarily saying that they played harder or they wanted it more, but you have a little bit more in you when you're playing in front of your home crowd.
Hockey's also.
I agree with that. That's a
a
little bit different than effort.
Hockey's a lot like NBA as well.
Where role players play better at home ice.
Not so much that, but home. I think home ice is just as important as home court almost is. And when you can when there's like situations where you can almost see the momentum and like feel it and you just know it's coming. I feel like you get that a lot in hockey like you do in basketball. Like you see the beginning of a run and somebody will call timeout and they come right back out and you're like, no, like they're just going to go on a run. There's nothing you can do. That happens in hockey. And that's one of the reasons I love playoff hockey. Like you'll see a team just literally just not be able to get out of their zone for 2 minutes. But it's, I think the first 10 minutes will be very telling tonight. Shame we're not probably able to go and watch the rest of it, but it's been a good series. I mean, it's the games aren't as close, like I said, as I thought they were going to be, but there's been no shortage of highlight reel stuff going on. And Colorado's Achilles heel, like I said, is going to be their goaltending. And Tampa Bay finally got to them last game, so I'm actually curious to see who they started tonight because it seems like
it's so funny you said that.
So you're looking at.
That's exactly what I was looking at. I was waiting to see if the game started or not. It didn't yet. That's exactly what I was looking at.
We'll talk about something because I know where I can look it up real quick.
I agree with you though. I think the goaltending is a huge issue, and I think that it got masked in the 7-0 win. Colorado just played so much better that they didn't have to deal with much of a goaltending issue. But they pulled them after 5 goals in a period and a half. I'm super interested to see who's goaltending tonight for Colorado.
Looking like it's going to be Kemper.
Okay. What's your thoughts on that?
I would probably start Kemper with the expectation going in. Like it's not getting to 5 again. Like it's going to be a very short leash. Like if you let in 1 or 2 soft ones and let that crowd really get into that game and let that Tampa Bay game get going, like you're coming off, and then game 5 they probably go back to Peter. Like it's just one of those weird hockey things. We've seen it before where a hot goalie can literally win you a Stanley Cup, and sometimes no matter who got you there, they get the benefit of the doubt a little bit to start. Kemper got that freak eye injury in the series, and then hurt his shoulder after that, and he's come in and I think he's 6-0. He hasn't lost since they put him in, so you got to ride the hot hand sometimes.
I agree. I just don't know who. I think Colorado's goaltending is such an issue, such a problem, but I think they're such a better team that they've made up for it throughout the series.
Yeah.
Any final comments on tonight? You guys all have the Lightning winning?
I have the Lightning winning tonight.
I don't know, man. I think Colorado steals this one.
It's
against what I said.
If they steal
I just think
tonight,
Colorado steals this one.
I think I said if they steal tonight, I don't think it leaves Colorado though. I think that'll be a wrap.
CJ, watching playoff hockey shows exactly how far the Flyers are away. It's exciting to watch, but it's depressing to think about your home team.
Hockey's one of those, like, you can make up ground kind of quick in hockey. I mean, listen, he's not wrong though, and I have no faith in our front office right now. We did just hire Torts though, so listen, you're a Flyers fan. The team might suck. The press conference is going to be amazing though. So
I agree.
Him with the Philadelphia media is going to be an interesting little paradigm. I'm more excited for that than I am, I think, for the team at this point.
You ready for some baseball?
Go ahead.
You ready for some baseball control?
Yep.
All right. So when you develop a couple, I know you have maybe a couple hot stove questions. Hoping But I have a few. I have a few like questions, and I just want to touch on these. Little trivia questions, and then we'll touch on each one. Okay?
Got it.
Who leads Major League Baseball in batting average right now?
I looked at this the other day, and it's like not a big name.
That's definitely not. I wouldn't ask it if it was like
I can't remember who it is.
What's the average?
362.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Luis Reyes, second baseman for the Twins.
That would be it.
It's batting 362. That's not being talked about enough. Not being talked about enough.
100 games to go.
I get it. Okay. So we all know who's leading Major League Baseball in home runs. Aaron Judge.
By one.
Number 2 is now
Mikey.
Mike Trout. Who's 3? I love the silence. And it's a good name. It's a name. Actually, I think he's one of the best young hitters in baseball. If Juan Soto wasn't my favorite hitter, who's by the way playing terrible, this guy would be my favorite hitter. The way he hits the baseball, it's just unbelievable.
You talking about for AL or overall?
Overall, I pulled the whole list.
No, Alonso's up there.
Alonso's 4th. I like the guess.
God damn it.
He's 20. This guy's got 21, tied with Trout. What's his name? Got it?
No.
We'll go with what's his name?
What's his name from that team? You know,
From that team, you know,
the
the
guy.
guy.
From that team.
The Yankees have another guy that's up there. That's
Nope.
high.
It's not. What team?
Astros.
Oh. Well, it's either got to be.
You're talking about Rizzo, by the way. He's 5th.
It's
Yes,
it's the lefty.
You're Don Alvarez.
Yeah, Alvarez. All right.
That guy rakes.
Hits the ball hard.
Love the way he hits the ball.
Real hard.
Who leads Major League Baseball in wins?
Team wise, or are you talking about pitchers?
Pitchers.
There's a couple guys that have 8.
Oh, there's one guy's 9.
That was 9.
One guy with 9. There's plenty of guys with 8. There's 6 guys with 8. There's
Who?
6 guys that have 8.
Who'd you say?
Jocelyn, does he have 8?
He pitched last night. Did they win last night? Yeah, it's him. Yeah, he's got 9.
Gosselin has 9.
Musgrave will have 9 tomorrow
Okay.
after he beats
All right.
us.
Gosselin has 9. Who leads Major League Baseball in ERA?
Just went over this. Isn't that Gosselin too?
That is Gosselin.
Yeah.
Jocelyn?
By like
So-
0.01.
My question would be, yes, by .01. My question would be, who is a better pitcher, even this year, Gosselin or Sandy Alcantara? Because I will tell you right now, if you put Alcantara,
if you're asking me who I would take,
no, you obviously take Alcantara. Who's
Yeah.
pitching better this year? And let me preface this by saying, if Alcantara was pitching for the Dodgers, there'd be no doubt in my mind. You switch teams?
yeah, but that's the only what's Alcantara's record?
Pull it up for you right now.
Was he 7-2? I think
7-2.
is that what he is?
Yep.
So I mean, your argument would be if there's 2 losses, he lost like 1-0, and I doubt that's the case.
Well, there's no decisions. He didn't start 9 games total.
No,
He started 14 games total.
Okay.
Or 11 games total.
Okay, so he's got a couple no decisions. He's got 2 losses.
14 starts. 14 starts.
I will say,
So he's got 2 losses and 3 no decisions.
Between the two of them, though, I mean, Sandy typically goes longer than what Tony does, and that's not. I'm not going to necessarily say that's a knock on Tony, but just knowing how much longer Sandy can go,
a little longer.
Go with Sandy.
A little longer. Want to take
He's got two.
take a
two
shot in the
innings.
dark. How many more innings pitched that he has
I say
than
like
Gosselin?
2.2
Total?
around there.
For the whole year?
Like,
2.2?
Oh, for the whole year. I thought you
Yes.
meant like on average.
How many more innings does he have right now for the year?
He's probably
Tony's got 68 innings pitched.
Probably 30, 25, 25
Spot
30.
on 30. Stay with 30. Tony's pitched 68 innings. Alcantara's pitched 99. Leads Major League Baseball in innings pitched. Alcantara's a better pitcher. Best pitcher in baseball right now. He's the best pitcher in baseball right now. His stuff is unreal. I've been on Alcantara before the season. I told you. Alcantara could win Cy Young. The problem is the wins. Alcantara's unbelievable.
You can't say problems and wins. I mean,
7-2, I agree.
Yeah,
I said that before the season, though. Pitch for Miami.
My point is, if he doesn't win it, that's not going to be why. I mean, especially what you've seen in the last couple of years, the writers and the people that vote on that have gone far away from using that number as a big deciding point. Jacob deGrom won it 1 year with like
under 500.
Yeah, because his ERA was under 2.
Yep.
If he loses it, that won't be why.
I will say this, dude. Gosselin's pitching great. I don't think he's a top 3 or 4 pitcher in baseball right now. Just don't.
I mean, by stats, he is.
Yeah, but 68 innings pitched is so low. Like, they don't need
I
to
get
do
that, but at the same, it's not. I don't want to knock him too much because the Dodgers have a good bullpen.
Yeah, they have a great bullpen.
They follow the plan, and they don't pitch him more than they need to because they got the setup and they got the closer to close everything out.
That's fine. You have it start tomorrow. Both of them are on perfect rest. Okay, who you starting? Gosselin or Alcantara?
Well, I said that from the get-go. I said if you're asking me who I would take Alcantara.
All right, Gosselin or Musgrove? Who you starting tomorrow?
That one's tough. I'll take Musgrove, actually.
I'd say Musgrove.
Okay. How about McClanahan?
Over who?
I'm saying Gosselin. It's a Gosselin or.
I might take McClanahan over all 3 of them.
McClanahan's a stud.
But I would.
Zach Wheeler.
Over,
1 start tomorrow.
Over Gosselin?
Yeah, starting 1 game tomorrow. Game 7 of the World Series.
Yeah,
What's in my bullpen?
That's terrible.
No, it's not. It's not. I mean, because to his point, if you're taking Wheeler, you better be pretty goddamn confident he's going 9 or at least 8. Because if you get into the schlubs we have, he can hand the ball over winning 4-0, and we're probably taking the L.
I look at what Gosselin's doing for the Dodgers, and he's doing exactly what the Dodgers need him to do. And I think that he deserves the credit that he's getting. I just don't think he's a top 3 or 4 pitcher in baseball.
Listen, I don't think anybody would say he is, but that being said, you have those years where guys just have career years. Maybe this could be his year. You still can't take away from what he's done. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, I don't want to take away from what he's done. I don't know. I just don't think he's this Cy Young favorite that he is. I just don't think he's that
I don't
guy.
think anybody's running away from it. I mean, but
No.
you have a bunch of guys that are there right now. I mean, if he finishes the year 18-4 with a 2.1 ERA, that's gonna be really damn hard to beat.
I agree.
And
Who leads the league in saves?
Just real quick, last point on that. Only reason, well, not the only reason, but one of the reasons why I don't want to knock Gosselin too much either is because Dodgers have studs in that rotation, and they just typically like Walker Buehler. I don't know his exact number of what his innings pitched are, but he hasn't been going 8-9 innings, every start or anything close to that either. So, but we know Walker Buehler is a great pitcher.
He's hurt, so I mean, those numbers are going to be skewed anyways. He missed his last 2 starts.
Who leads the Major League Baseball in quality starts?
The quality start is 6 innings, less than 3 runs, or is it less than 4 runs? I can't remember.
One pitcher has 12. He has 12 out of 12 quality starts. He has 0 starts that are not quality.
Not the kid from Chicago, is it?
Nope.
Could be your boy from Tampa.
Nope. McClanahan has 10. Dylan Cease has 8.
Who I was thinking of.
I know. Alcantara has 11. Not 11. Minot has 11.
Team.
It's Musgrove. 12 out of 12 quality starts.
It'll be 13 after tomorrow.
Who leads league in saves? It's not who you think it is.
Is it Chapman's replacement in New York?
No.
Let's just see. He's won a bunch of games.
I mean, most people would think it'd be Hader. Hader's got 20. That's why I asked the question. Hader is second. It's funny because you can really think about this. If you think about how many close games this team's won. I mean, we've talked about one of their pitchers.
Who closes for the Mets?
Not them. He's been hurt, by the way. He's been hurt off and on. Closer for the Mets. Forget the kid's name. I'm waiting.
What team?
I can't give you the team. You don't know the closer. That's not fair. It's Diaz is, by the way, the closer for the Mets. Thank you. Edwin Diaz. He has 14. Which is good. This guy's got 21 though.
21. I mean, it's. I mean, there's teams that I don't think even have 21 wins.
Taylor Rogers, the San Diego Padres. It's solid stuff. Kenley Jansen's got 18 for Atlanta.
Yeah, good thing we didn't sign
That's
him.
what would have been my guess, but
That's fair. I mean, listen, Romano's got 17 for Toronto. Hendricks has 16 for the White Sox. But just interesting stats to me, like the league leaders in certain stats. Like, yeah, Aaron Judge is on a tear. So we talked about this already. If Major League Baseball ended you know what? Forget that. I don't want to do that. Let's take a step further. Knowing what you know now, who wins the American League MVP, who wins the National League MVP, who wins the National League Cy Young, who wins the American League Cy Young. Knowing what you know now. Now, keep in mind, I'm not saying who's the front runner or who's winning. Knowing what you know now, like we all said, but it was a Jacob deGrom, and he's been hurt. So obviously, it won't be Jacob deGrom. Projecting out, who wins?
I mean, where do you want to start?
You pick. I'll let you pick. You're a baseball aficionado.
Go AL Cy Young.
Okay, easy. To me, my prediction before the season started.
It's going to be between him and Cottrell's pick, though. He's actually ready to ship and actually pitch really. I mean, he had a no-hitter in the 8th last night or 2 nights ago. And I think Tampa Bay is going to have to stay relevant for that to happen. Garrett Cole is going to get a big New York biased vote. And that team is going to win the team's probably going to win 110 games. So that'll be very interesting to see how they come down the stretch run.
You're going Garrett Cole?
I wouldn't say that. I don't want I'd rather have McClanahan win. I don't want Garrett Cole to win.
CJ, who wins Cy Young, American League? Waiting for him to respond. Hopefully, still. He said he's looking forward to the press conference.
I'll double down on Garrett Cole.
Of course you're gonna, and I'll double down on McClanahan. That's who I picked before the season started.
It's one I would hope that Gene gets right.
I need your pick.
I'll get McClanahan.
Okay. NL Cy Young then. Since we go AL, go NL. Oh, I'm going to double down on mine. No way I'm not. Sandy Alcantara. He's got the best stuff in baseball.
For some weird reason, I'm just going to go with Musgrove.
That's a fair pick. 12 out of 12 quality starts. How do you argue that?
I just think he showed glimpses of it a lot last year. He'd have 3 great starts and then 2 bad ones.
He said Garrett Cole. Who wins NL Cy Young, CJ?
Yeah, just tell CJ to start commenting. I'll go with Musgrove.
MLB loves when the Yankees are dominant.
I'll go Sandy.
You should. He's got the. Listen to me. If you didn't watch the kid yet, I'm sure you have. He's got the best stuff in baseball. The best stuff in baseball.
Wait till next year when their 1-2 punch is him and Sixto.
Oh my God.
Who should be ours, but no. That's
Nobody was going to give JT the money anyway, so you didn't have to trade him. But whatever. I'll just
fine.
stop.
JT needs to head out of his ass.
All right, so NL MVP. Obviously, Soto's out.
It's not going to be so.
215 batting average. He's like the Philadelphia area code. He's batting our area code.
Right now,
I love CJ. If Alcantara keeps the pace, he's got to get it. He's throwing wiffle balls.
I'm wrong.
Uh,
Run he has on his 2 team is just disgusting.
It's so silly.
I'll go Pete Alonso.
Didn't you have him? It's number 2 for your.
Did?
Yes.
I'm going with a fellow first baseman, though.
Oh, okay.
I'm going with Goldschmidt.
Yeah, that's the answer. And I picked Arenado, and for the first month and a half of the season, Arenado was the best player in baseball, and Goldschmidt went nuts.
They're both. I mean,
Goldschmidt's just a better defender.
They're just.
So
What?
if the numbers are close, Goldschmidt plays better defense than the polar bear.
Oh, I thought you meant an Arenado.
No.
Timeout.
No, I'm saying if they're both numbers are close, I'll give it to Goldschmidt.
No, I agree. All right. That was fast.
Well, we didn't do AL, Zion. AL MVP.
You know I'm picking, so.
You picking Trout?
Yep.
I picked him before the season started. It would be weird for me to fall off of him.
Went through a slump and then proceeded to hit 5 home runs in 5 days.
Do you know how ridiculous that Angels team is going to look right now with Ohtani hitting his stride and Trout hitting his stride?
If he hits a stride. They just lost Rendon for the year, though, so.
It's tough.
JT Walsh has been a godsend for them, though.
CJ said Soto is still highly productive. That average will rebound. Goldie has been huge for the NL. For AL, I still got. If I pick Trout before the season started, and I have a chance, and he still looks good, I'm still going Trout. The answer right now is Aaron Judge. I just don't think Aaron Judge will keep it up.
I think it's Trout too. But damn it, I'm going to show some love to my boy Jose Ramirez. He's having a great start. I don't think he wins MVP, but he's having a hell of a season so far.
Speaking of J-Ram is doing what? By the way, Devers and Bogarts are doing the exact same thing for Boston. They're rebounding nicely. They've won 5 straight series up there. But he's
second place now.
J-Ram's doing exactly what Bogarts and Devers did to Boston last year. Just keep them in it just by dominating at the plate. Every time Cleveland needs a big hit, J-Ram's hitting to getting that hit. It's ridiculous. And to me, it's hilarious because at the one point, when do you stop pitching to him? Like his protection in the lineup is none. Not available. It's an N/A. When they say protection in the lineup, they put a big NA.
You're going to.
I don't know if that's fair.
As we progress longer in the season, once, if Cleveland's still in it, come down the stretch and everything, you're going to see him not get pitched to anymore.
I don't know why you would.
I don't know why he re-signed there. Here or there.
All right, listen.
That's not even a shot. It's not even a shot at you. I said that when it broke that he did.
I know.
He could have been a free agent this year, and there's a lot of places he could have went.
Made more money. I agree.
By the way,
made more money.
I didn't realize Goldie's batting .340. That is stupid.
Like the AL1, honestly, the AL1, you can make a case for 5 or 6 guys. I think if he continues anywhere close to his pace, I think the NL1's over.
Do you think Luis Arraez could break the record for most singles in a season? He's batting .366 with 12 extra base hits total.
What's the record?
I don't know. I'm just saying it out loud because he's got
76.
He's got 100%. He's got 64
singles.
64 singles right now. What's the record? I want to say it because he's 60 games in, 59 games in. Obviously, he missed a few because most players are at 66. It's the most singles in a season. That's a lot of hits for only 12 extra base hits. Am I wrong? 76 hits, only 12 are extra base hits.
No, he's not getting there.
What is it?
225.
Holy crap, Ichiro!
The old record used to be 206.
He just shattered it.
Just shattered it. And then Ichiro's number 3 on the list with 203.
That's so many at bats. I don't even know if he's got 210 at bats. He's batting 362. I think that's so absurd that he only has 12 extra base hits.
He's gonna have to hit at that pace all year to even have a shot, to even sniff it. And I just don't think that's gonna happen.
Fun question. Who leads the league in slugging percentage?
It's not Judge.
No, it's not. That's why I asked. He also leads the league in OPS too.
Oh, Twin, is it?
Nope. It's an Astro. Jordan Alvarez. I have rakes. And then the last question, which is always the fun question, is the WAR. Who leads Major League Baseball in WAR? You'll never get it. It's not even worth asking. You can get second or third or fourth. You'll never get number 1.
Who's number 1 then?
Tommy Edman.
Yeah, that'll change.
He's by a 10th. 4.1 is his WAR. So you can get second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. 2 through 7 you should get. J-Ram is 6th. Okay, keep naming them. I want to see how many you guys can get. Trout's 4. Keep going.
I mean, Judge has got to be there.
Judge is 7. As long as you name top 10 players, we'll keep it going. Until you name one outside top 10, we'll stop. By the way, Alvarez is outside the top 10.
Is Bryce in there?
We got to stop now?
All right.
17th. Machado is 2.
Man, he's having a really good year.
Devers is 3. Trout's 4. Goldie's 5. You should have guessed Goldie. J-Ram 6. Judge is 7. Kyle Tucker from Houston.
Told you all about Kyle Tucker this year. Is Reese in there? Just kidding. Don't answer
that. Reese is 9.
He sucks.
No.
It's the reason we lost today.
Nolan Arenado is 9. And then Mr. France is 10. Tyler France from Seattle.
Yeah, I don't. There's not a word to describe how bad defensively Reese Hoskins is.
No.
Another error today.
That
cost us a game. It doesn't even come close to doing it.
What'd you say? What'd he say?
He had a,
What did he say?
Oh, he said bad doesn't do it.
No.
No.
I'm CJ, one last question. I promise I'll get off you. Do you have any kids in your program that you think play better defense at a major league level than Reese Hoskins?
I went away from the response. I'll give you the answer. The answer is all of them.
Does Hoskins survive the trade deadline? No. I'm dead serious when I say this. Like, do you think any kids in your program could go to the major league level and just trade bodies with Reese Hoskins and play better defensive first base? That's it. They don't have to hit. They just, Hoskins goes to the plate, and then they go play defense. Any kids in your program? You think you said all of them? Come on, bro. That can't be real.
All of them. Not really. He's approaching historically, epically bad proportions for defense.
Bobby Argyros, Reese Hoskins.
Not even close. He was shortstop playing first base.
Got a conference championship winning team over there, so I know they got some studs.
CJ's a stud. He put laugh out loud. Come on, CJ. I need an answer. Do you have anyone?
CJ's an underrated first baseman.
I don't disagree with that, but he's not better than Reese Hoskins at first base. At a major league level?
Reese Hoskins doesn't play at a major league level
He
defensively.
said one.
There you go.
He said he has one. Now, that's crazy to me that a Bucks County Community College baseball athlete would be a better defensive player than a major league. That's how bad Reese is. Control, I'm not kidding with you. That's how bad defensively he is. Let's get into you got to be kidding me. Cottrell?
All right, so mine's gonna be on Roger Goodell. I think that
we were all going NFL
for
today.
those of you who, what'd you say, Bill?
Yes, we were all going NFL today.
Oh, for those of you who don't know, Roger Goodell was testifying earlier today with Congress about Dan Snyder and all of the issues with the Washington Commanders. My issue right now with Roger Goodell is he really didn't seem like he wants to hold Snyder accountable. It almost felt like he wants to put the onus on everybody else. They asked him, well, a reporter had asked him, if he would be willing to start the process to get Dan Snyder removed as an owner, and he said that's not my decision. But the reality is, Roger Goodell has all the power to get that process started, and I understand, the owners have to vote Snyder out, but Roger, you could easily, be a leader there and step up to the plate and say, the owners do have to vote him out, but this is a situation that I can get ahead of, and I can start this process or whatever. Stop toeing the line. You have commissioners in other sports that aren't afraid to just step out there. If this is Adam Silver, we'd be having a completely different discussion because he's already put it out there what he wants to do. So for me, it's Roger Goodell and his fear of being a true leader.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
Mike, I will give you so much credit as being a professional that I did not think you were. I'm looking into the green room. He's playing on his phone. I'm thinking he has no idea what we're doing. You got to be kidding me. And as soon as Cottrell got there, it was just like phone down, click, bang, perfect. So, Mike, you're the man, my friend. Shally?
True professional.
I was actually doing the NFL as well, just kind of in general, but Cottrell stole most of mine, so I don't.
I was doing the same person but for a different thing.
Oh, well, you should do that then.
I will. So for me, it's Roger Goodell. Today, he was asked by Congress, or actually 2 days ago, he was asked by Congress why he banned Dave Portnoy. And he said, excuse me? I need you to repeat that. And they're like, well, why are you banning Dave Portnoy from NFL games? He is a reporter, he's a sports media guy. Why are you banning? Do you believe in the First Amendment? Freedom of speech. He goes, of course I do. He's like, why are you banning him? He's like, I have no knowledge of this. I do not know this at all. So Dave Portnoy then took to the internet and recorded it and is constantly he's perjuring himself. This is perjury, showing videos of Roger Goodell pointing him out and understanding exactly what's going on. So Roger Goodell, if anybody had any inkling that Roger Goodell wasn't a weasel, if anybody thought Roger Goodell wasn't a liar, a weasel, a scumbag, first you should watch the movie Concussion. After you watch the movie Concussion, know how much Roger Goodell's a liar. So for this week, a double.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
Or just look at the way he's handled any one of the social issues in his league.
Bro, he's a joke. He makes money, which is why the owners love him.
That's all they care about.
That's all they care about.
And the owners get to walk all over him, so that's the other reason why they love him. They're like, hey Roger, we're not doing that. And he's like, okay, that's fine.
I really think he screws up this Deshaun Watson thing.
See, that's where I think. I'm not going to word it that way. Let me reword it. I think he swings the pendulum the other way to make sure it doesn't look that way this time, and I think that's why I firmly believe he's getting a year. This is one they can't run from.
20 out of 24 settled.
Yeah, this is one of the ones that if they come back and they're like, hey, you can sit out 2 weeks, and I mean this, I think all hell's gonna break loose.
Cottrell, I want to ask you a question. I know you've been on the side of a lighter suspension. I know we've talked a million times about our thoughts on Deshaun Watson, how mine have changed. I think yours have changed a little bit too from where we started.
Yep.
I know he's a Cleveland Browns quarterback, and I know you're going to root for him because he's a great football player. As far as his character goes, do you think Deshaun Watson is a good human being?
With all these allegations, I mean, I think it's impossible to say yes to that question.
I hate to put you on the spot there like that.
I think that he does good things, but to say he's a good human being, if the allegations are true, which you have to borderline assume that with him being settled. Good person wouldn't be the first words I would use to describe him.
I had to track back a lot of my words I said on the show, and I was really careful about them. And I got to give credit to Bill. Bill has constantly told me, just be careful the way you word it, because if it does come out to be true, you want to make sure that you're not saying 100% the one way or the other. And all I said was, I think that one should be allotted innocence until proven guilt. Mm-hmm. I think right now, and at this spot and this place, he has proven guilt and admitted guilt by settling 20 out of 24 lawsuits already, and has trying to settle as many as he can. I think that the numbers changed so much from 17 over 5 years to 100 or 68. It was 68 over 17 months.
Yeah. Well, no, it was, he said originally it was over like 5 years, and then it was proven to be like 60 some over the last 12 months.
17,
whatever.
It was almost one a week when they averaged the numbers out. A different woman every single week. That's
the one
wild
thing, though,
to me.
That I kind of want to wait until, and as crazy as this sounds, until the suspension happens. Just because I know how, I don't ever give Roger Goodell or the NFL the benefit of the doubt. If they went to him, confidentially and was like, hey, settle these, get this over with. We'll give you, we're not going to let you off, but we're not going to give you a full season. And he was like, all right, okay, like I'll do that. Then that would change my perspective of the situation. Still wouldn't say he's a good person.
You would never know that.
If that ever came out, I can't tell you how catastrophically bad that would be for the NFL. Like I'm telling you, like everybody and their mother is pulling sponsorships if that came out. Like,
so if he gets a 4-game suspension or a 6-game suspension, wouldn't that be like your first thought though?
Yeah,
that was what happened.
Oh, 100%.
And I
agree with you. If he gets a 4-game suspension, I think the outrage around him would be absolutely. It would be amazing. You would not want to see the outrage around the NFL if he gets. I actually think for the Cleveland Browns, should want him to get at least 8 games.
I was literally just going to say, best case for Cleveland, honestly, is for him to get a year. Like, I know that sucks for this season. If he gets a year, I don't think anybody would say it's not just at that point.
Correct.
You're going to pay him his $1 million. He's going to pay his, the victims out of his own money, and he's away for a year and just let it be. If he gets anything less than what people at least would consider acceptable, that's when it's going to get ugly. Like, that is when I wouldn't want to work for the Cleveland Browns at that point. I don't think there's any shot he gets anything less than 8. And I think if they give him 8, I think it's going to be a phone call. Hey, we're giving you 8. We probably should have gave you a whole year. Don't appeal it because, like, you're getting 8.
Yeah, I feel that. And my last comment I'll say, and then I'll see if you guys have any final thoughts, is I think that they screwed up so poorly on the Ray Rice thing, which is the biggest black eye, and no figurative, not literally.
And Greg Hardy.
Yeah, I don't think they can afford to screw this one up. You guys have any final thoughts this week?
No, and that's literally why I said what I said earlier. I think they're not that it's going to be an overreaction. I think it's justified to give him a year, but I think that's exactly why he's going to get it. I think they're going to make sure that they think they look okay in the public eye, and it's going to be kind of a makeup for them butchering the Ray Rice and Greg Hardy and whoever else, all the other situations they've been through.
How does an NFL team do a security check on him and give him that contract?
I said that in our group chat. Cleveland. I will tell you this: when he gets the year, I almost think there's going to be more heat on Cleveland than there's going to be on Deshaun Watson.
I think there should be more heat on Houston, but we'll get into that again as
it
wraps up.
I'm not going to argue that either.
I think that's even worse. But any final thoughts this week, fellas?
No, I'm good.
Nope, I got nothing.
All right, so for this week, Wire to Wire Sports Podcast, thank you for listening to us. Download us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, anything you can, because we're doing awesome. We love you. Thank you so much for listening, and we're the Wire to Wire Sports Podcast, signing out.